This is my creative space. It's pretty minimalistic, kind of humble. My primary instrument is singing, actually. And then I moved to guitar and then went to music school and studied piano. I think being multi-instrumentalist has really helped me not only be just a better musician across the board, but also it helps me learn about my different instruments. So, for example, like learning piano really helped me learn, how to construct chords on a guitar. Really helped me with music theory because it's just so much more easily visualized on a piano than it is on a guitar. Having a knowledge of different kind of beats and instruments and what have you has really helped me a lot. I actually did an internship out in LA with Hans Zimmer and his whole crew for about 6 months after I graduated from Blackbird. And that was truly an eye-opening experience with being able to see the behind the scenes of what all goes into doing, a big budget movie film score and all the people that are involved with the process all along the way, from recording to, sampling department to the actual writing of it. Truly an eye-opening experience. Honestly, with Blackbird, I feel like there's no other better audio school in the world. Like, if you really put your heart and soul into that school and just learn everything there is to learn there and just go crazy, you could work with Hans Zimmer too. That's basically what happened. I told them to give them a challenge a little bit. And I was like, well, I want to be a film composer. So if you could get me a job with Hans Zimmer, that would be great. Sort of half jokingly. And they made it happen. I'm just blown away with the staff there and with the level of audio education that you get there. And more than that, the hands-on education that you get there. The amount of gear that you get to touch there in 6 months is just unreal. So right now, most of my music is focused on freelance composing gigs. So I'm writing for people's YouTube channels, like outro music and things like that. And kind of what's taking up the bulk of my time right now is I'm doing voice acting for sound libraries, essentially. So I'm reading through scripts in different voices and doing some light sound design to create fantasy character libraries, basically, for video games. Undead, an elf, knight, demon voice, which is super fun.
Dare trespass into my domain.
You just sit down for an hour, you just read through a script and get to play pretend. It's every little kid's dream made reality. Most of the voice acting stuff, especially since going into game libraries, it has to be at a certain level of audio quality for sure. So it's at 96K, 24-bit. And honestly, it's a pretty simple chain. Audio-Technica AT 2020. I run it through a light little compressor on my Apollo Twin. And then usually at the very end, depending on if it's a really heavily sound designed one, there's usually some pitch shifting going on. And then after that, it's just a whole bunch of isotope plugins. So RX6, declick, depop, denoise, just cleans everything out. It's amazing. When I'm mixing for sync licensing, luckily I don't have a lot of tracks to deal with, but I also have to make sure that those few tracks really, really mesh well together and sound good together. Because if they don't, it's going to be noticeable in a TV show. My previous set of monitors, I got these big honking stereo field monitors, because especially with film scorings, having a good stereo field and being able to differentiate where you have all these different instruments panned and that they're sitting right in a mix is really, really important. I was a little skeptical, I'm gonna be honest, when I pulled out the T5V's, because I was like, oh, they're kind of tiny. But then I plugged them in and tested them out on some film scores that I use for referencing tracks and stuff like that, and I was just totally blown away. These are tracks that I use for referencing all the time, and as soon as I plugged these things in, I was able to pick out parts in a score that I'd heard hundreds of times probably, that I'd never heard before. And it was at a price point that was, probably a third the price of what I paid for my other stereo monitors. I haven't pulled them out since. Having this, especially in a travel size package, is super nice. I could see, taking these with me, my Apollo Twin, and my laptop, and that would be all I would need for writing music. That's killer to me, is that I can take my whole orchestra with me and still have really good monitoring wherever I go too. Plugging a bass guitar through these and kind of cranking it up a little bit to record sounded awesome. Like, sounded like kind of running through a bass cab, which, again, freaked me out a little bit because I'm not used to that kind of noise coming out of a speaker that small, which just kind of really cemented, my love for these speakers. I don't know what sort of black sorcery Adams did to like make a speaker this good at that price point, but whatever it did, it's working great for them. I'm impressed.